I have a huge soft spot for the Japanese-style turn-based RPG of games like Final Fantasy or Chrono Trigger, and it appears that indie developers do as well, making SNES-era inspired titles, but also draws on Paper Mario, Tactics titles, some more modern-looking games, and of course, Pokemon-inspired monster tamers. So let's begin with Off, or more specifically, the Steam and Switch release of this game from 2008. Which is supposed to be one of the most influential RPGs of the past 20 years, in which you play as a humanoid entity known as the Batter, wielding a bat and has to purify the world, and like Moon RPG before it, it might be time for a whole new bunch of people to know about this game. I've had my eye on this next title due to its pixel art, but also because Fretless The Wrath of Rifson has rhythm game elements, which is a variant on the real-time action in turn-based RPGs, where you have to hit buttons on cue to do more damage or to block attacks. You are wielding powerful musical instruments to save the world from the boss of an evil records company who exploits musicians with soul-binding contracts, having a fantastic pixel art look when this was originally slated for 2024 but was pushed, so I'm fairly certain that 2025 will be the year. This video is brought to you by Few Nights More, a roguelike turn-based RPG where you take on the role of a vampire lord, reclaiming lost territories and building your legacy. Your goal? Conquer castles, defend your stronghold, and prove your dominance in a world now ruled by humans. The castle building aspect is more in-depth than you might expect, since you can place rooms, set traps, and recruit minions, preparing for invasions by heroes at night, having an almost dungeon keeper-like look to the game, but with turn-based combat. You can choose from 8 different vampire lords, each with their own history, abilities, and playstyle, where you can choose between one of 3 distinct disciplines in Prestige, Seduction, and Terror in every run, with each discipline having over 60 skills. There are randomized skills, perks, and trinkets to select from, with the game having a 3-act structure and 12 difficulty levels, being able to earn heritage points to unlock permanent upgrades from run to run. So if you love your vampires, this looks like a bloody good time. This just released out of early access, so it's a great time to jump in, where you can buy it via the link in the description below. If you have been around indie games, one look at this next title and you might be able to guess who this is from, since elements from the user interface as well as the character designs and art does indeed reveal that this is from the developers of Cris Tales, who are making a cool new title named Prisma. The previous game was about time, of looking at past, present, and future all at the same time, with the gimmick in this game being the camera lens and filters, allowing you to manipulate the world, such as using a fisheye lens to curve attacks, hitting enemies behind the front line, or to use a shattered lens to split your projectiles into multiple to attack more than one enemy. The look and vibe is inspired by Persona 5 and The World Ends With You, simply oozing style and looks rather creative. I used to split out monster taming games into their own video, but decided not to this year, so they are in this list, including Rissimon, a game that does look like Pokemon Ruby Sapphire if you squint, especially in the overworld map, complete with their own Fakemon, of which there are over 200 to catch. However, there are several aspects that makes it different, such as the more high-resolution pixel art in the battle screen, which, to be fair, does kind of throw the look off, but also you are playing as a 25-year-old kid out who has to make a clean break from his past to prove that he is not a loser. So it does deal with grown-up themes, but if you love monster tamers like me, this looks like a decent one of those. I was about to cover Oddventure since it had a release window of February 2025, but alas, the developers have delayed it by another month. But what's a month in the grand scheme of things, since this has been in development for a very long time. I've had my eye on this game due to the pixel art here and its resemblance to Earthbound, telling the tale of Charlie, a rebellious and socially awkward teenage girl, as she searched for her troublesome brother Bonzo and for a way to get back home. set in the kingdom of Luxia, a dark and twisted world inspired by the original Grimm Brothers fairy tales. This game has exploration, combat, and puzzles, with the main gimmick of the mood system, where the mood of your characters plays a crucial role in determining the outcomes of battles, where you can choose different options after battle, Undertale style, to kill or spare enemies as well. Of course, it will have a cast of interesting characters, each with their own stories and secrets, where you can talk to them, gather information, and even form relationships with them, which will help you on your main quest, with there being multiple endings and a branching narrative, so your choices will have a significant impact on the story and might make each playthrough unique. This next title has a cool look where Maliki Poison of the Past has you travelling the space-time continuum to try to repair the damage caused by poison, a mysterious plant monster that is threatening to destroy humanity. So, Chrono Trigger anyone? Our protagonist is armed with a Chrono Pack and can use it to manipulate time in combat, changing the turn order to help your characters attack before the monsters, but can also line up two characters to unleash powerful combo attacks. In between battles, you have a hub area where you can tend to the 1000-year root tree, along with harvesting resources, cooking meals, and crafting equipment, which does remind me of Earthlock, and looks like a fantastic one of these. Just a quick one here in Eco Breaker, a game that looks like a JRPG from the 1990s, in which you are piloting a mech and must stop a powerful empire in a world on the brink of destruction. I absolutely love the look of this, looking like some sort of PS1 title with a little bit of tactics influence in the combat as well, and as far as I can tell from the developers' social media profiles, this is still being worked on. An adorable looking title is Escape from the Ever After, one that does quite obviously draw upon the Paper Mario games in terms of art style, but is not pure 2D hand-drawn art, mixing in 3D environmental objects as well. In this whimsical world, Flint Buckler, a renowned fairy tale adventurer, discovers that his arch-nemesis, the dragon Tinder, has transformed her castle into a corporate headquarters for the villainous Ever After Inc., so beloved fairy tale characters must band together to defeat capitalism. To do so, our hero must climb the corporate ladder and to take down the company from within with a snappy turn-based combat system with the active turn-based combat involving pressing buttons at the right time. The art style and design of this world looks fantastic, especially the characters and enemies, with classic JRPG style systems like equipment and upgrading special skills, also having fun exploration filled with secrets, treasures, and more. This next title made my list of the best looking pixel art titles, where my familiar is a turn-based buddy cop isekai RPG set on the mean streets of Wish City, where corruption reigns supreme and the streets are filled with shady characters. You have to fight and rap your way through turn-based battles against a cast of dysfunctional demons, choosing from 6 unique characters, each with their own distinct personalities, which are not your typical warrior, rogue and mage trifecta in RPGs, but includes a disembodied diva, a sausage thief, a luchador duck, and a mysterious purple rabbit/goblin/rat hybrid creature, among others. It looks very unique with great chunky pixel art in combat, and there's also a new animated trailer on their Steam page, which I believe was not there the last time I looked in November 2024, so progress is certainly being made on this game. For all the talk about video games being targeted at kids and the biggest titles in the space having to tone down the violence and adult themes due to rating issues and wanting to get mass market appeal, there are some indie developers who have gone in the opposite direction. Think Fear and Hunger or Lisa the Painful, with such a title being play rough. While on the surface, this might look like Earthbound or something, it does seem to resemble Lisa more, since the game is set in a surreal post-apocalyptic wasteland that was once California, with your characters having to find a way to survive amidst violence and magic, where humans are living alongside living cartoons and clowns. Our main character is a psychic who has been sheltered so far in life, now coming across strange allies and enemies alike. Your party also includes a fox and an old man, both bitter and full of regrets, forming a party out of convenience, although you do have to be careful with who you trust since they could stab you in the back. The enemy designs are all twisted and surreal, where you can decide how you want to approach the world, going around aggressively killing all enemies, or to take a more conservative approach, with talks of something that is about to come to Earth, sent by heaven itself, that might shake up this dying world that does sound really ominous. I'm also curious about Morph Qubit being an adventure RPG that also looks like a classically designed one of these, but might lean more in the adventure game direction, so maybe my list of upcoming adventure games would have been a better place for it, but I've committed, so here we are. Although the developer does mention a unique combat system which is not shown off in the trailer or Steam page. It's an RPG insofar as having you play the role of a moth in a corporate setting, having just been promoted but is blissfully unaware of the ominous final process whose arrival at the company is imminent. Still, it looks very unique, almost life sim adjacent, with vibes, of course, feeling similar to Yuppie Psycho, but perhaps less explicitly horror. Another monster taming RPG of note is Lumentale Memories of Tree, a very pretty looking title with some interesting mechanics in which you play as an amnesiac protagonist who appears in the woods, deciding to embark on a monster taming journey to regain your lost memories. As Trey, you'll be exploring the region, learning about the deep hate and separation that afflicts the land, while discovering more about the mysterious desire that guides you forward. You have the use of a device known as a Holocan, which allows you to interact with the mystical Animons, being able to feel their feelings and to catch them all to become the best like no one ever was or something to that effect. Interestingly, the Animon catching here is in real time, with combat remaining turn-based, with the trailer showing off 4v4 combat and does have a great pixel art look, so again, if you love games like Pokemon, put this on your wish list. If I were to guess, I do think that 2025 is likely to be the year that Quartet releases, since this has been in development for a long time, so much so that the concept of this was kind of done by Octopath Traveler already, having 8 characters and 4 stories which you can play through in any order, after which the fates of our characters intertwine and the story progresses from there. Interestingly, instead of selecting 3 or 4 characters from the entire roster, all 8 are in play, where you deploy 4 at any time in combat with the rest in reserve, but can swap characters in and out without penalty, I believe, which will feed into your strategy. If the art style looked familiar, that is because this is from the developer of Shadows of Adam and will be for pixel art fans. This next title is new to me, but I knew the moment I laid eyes on Artist Impact, I had to share it with you, being a vibrant pixel art RPG set in a post-apocalyptic world. While the initial vibes from the trailer does not show it, it is not just a cozy title as suggested by the music, and quickly ramps up into anime levels of hype on the level of killing a god. Your heroine and her bot companion are unraveling mysteries of the world with life sim elements like eating a potato pancake and upgrading your home, combined with some of the most epic looking turn-based combat that I have seen with fantastic animations. This next title looks like a modern JRPG, think Xenoblade Chronicles or something, where Runa comes to us from a developer out of Spain, but looks to be taking inspiration from all of the greats in the genre, having turn-based combat, social links, and a richly detailed science fantasy world. The game has exploration, puzzle solving, and base building, as well as mini-games like farming, fishing, and cooking, spilling over a little into the life sim genre, but at its core, it's a JRPG through and through, set in a world where ancient technology has left behind mysterious symbols called runas. Only a select few, known as the Adepts, can harness their power. Combat here includes elemental affinities, so you need to be strategic in your approach, using powerful skills and abilities to take out your enemies. Interestingly, there are also 15 romance options in the game, so it is quite ambitious, with the Kickstarter raising about 8 times its target, so the players have shown their support. Earthbound did have an outsized impact on players and game developers, since another similar looking title is The Backworld, combining the iconic look of its inspiration with the modern day liminal space fascination with the Backrooms. This is largely a turn-based RPG, but with horror elements, even if it does look kind of cute, and might be leaning more in the fear and hunger direction. For example, there are action abilities to unlock a sprint which will help you avoid combat, with a cast of strange characters that can join your party as well. There will of course be multiple endings depending on your choices, as well as different difficulty modes like Explorer mode to hardcore survival horror, and looks like it's going to hit it out of the park. Another title which took to Kickstarter successfully is Forge of the Fae, raising $226,000 off a $15k target, so players have put their money where their mouths are in wanting to see this game get made. Of course, the pixel art here is a standout, with more modern elements in the movement and exploration, so you are not stuck on short ledges, for example. This is set in a mystical world inspired by Celtic folklore, where our protagonist Fiora is a brilliant inventor, embarking on a perilous quest to unravel the mystery behind a series of baffling disappearances. Amidst the turmoil of miners' strikes and escalating violence, she remains resolute in her pursuit of the truth, determined to find out what happened, and will have a cast of interesting characters as well. Similar to some of the other games in this list, your decisions will impact the story's outcome, where I'm curious as to what you think about this, if it would be better to just stick to a linear story structure. All the JRPG systems are here, like leveling and skills, but you will have something known as a mechanical fairy, and as something called a crystal system for magic as well, but what a treat for the eyes this game is. This next title is new to me and looks sick, in which Bagdax is an unabashedly Brazilian monster taming RPG set in a richly detailed world inspired by Brazilian culture. I'm not great with languages, so someone please tell me if the theme song for this trailer is in Brazilian Portuguese, which it probably is, with other elements like the world as well as regional recipes reflecting this as well. And I do love it when game developers share their culture so that we can learn more about the world. You play as a young Bagmon researcher with 160 species spread across 20 types, where you have to train them up to win tournaments with a greater threat lurking in the world. There's a home base as well in the training center, which is where the farming, fishing and cooking elements come in, so similar to Runa talked about earlier, with the vibrant visual style and design of the creatures being the highlight here. This title was slated for 2024, but it got pushed to Q1 2025, so we should be getting a release date anytime now, in which Demon School is a tactical RPG about our protagonist and her crew who straddle the human and demon worlds, battling big weirdos while trying to balance that with normal university life on a strange island. I never quite know where to put this title, whether it be under tactics games or turn-based RPGs, but have settled on it here for now, with combat here being interesting, centered around the idea of motion equals action. You can check out their Steam page for a separate trailer detailing the combat, but it looks fascinating since you can use it to set up combos. The university part of it resembles something like Persona, in which you have classes and activities to go to with your limited time each day, where these will enhance your character's skills and allow them to develop deeper relationships with the other characters, also having a sick art style. This long in development title is pretty much an SNES style RPG, where Kingdoms of the Dump has a rather unique developer story that I want to touch upon later as well. Set in the 5.5 Kingdoms of the Dump, aka Rubbish, you play as Trashcan Knight Dustin Binsley as he fights his way across the world to stop the toxic Gremlin army and to prevent the kingdoms from erupting into all-out war. This has turn-based but also grid-based combat, no random encounters and timed hits during combat, so all the expected features, and has a gorgeous Mode 7 world map as well and looks great, with the overworld exploration looking good since your lead character can use their special abilities to get past obstacles. This is being made by two real-life janitors who decided to commit to making a game that they would love and seems very impressive. The popularity of Fear and Hunger seems to have had a knock-on effect on RPGs, where if you're not familiar, the gist of it is that it's a brutal world where all sorts of bad things can happen and your characters can die, looking like a JRPG in terms of combat and overworld exploration, but in that game at least, the objective is not to fight enemies if you don't need to, and to not fight everything to grind out XP like in the classic games in the space, with Hymn to the Earless God looking to be a fairly unique entry as well. Set on a dark alien world of a planet inhabited by insectoid creatures, there are 4 unique stories to explore with 4 unique main characters, being able to recruit mercenaries to help, which might betray you or flee when facing certain enemies. If you defeat an enemy, you can eat their corpse to gain buffs and recover health, with magic being affected by the biome you are in, so you need to be acutely aware of your location. This comes to us from the developer of Jimmy and the Pulsating Mass, which people love, but as compared to more classic JRPGs, this certainly stands out. Another unique RPG is the long-in-development Other Her Loving Embrace, with the developers just releasing this new trailer recently and looks to be attending events in 2025, so it looks like development is going well. In theory, this has turn-based battles, but real-time action platformer combat, so I'm not quite sure how it works, but it looks fascinating. It takes place in a small town which is under attack by spirits, where a local boy teams up with a mysterious masked wizard to uncover the truth behind these attacks. The exploration looks neat in an almost Zelda kind of fashion, which does include puzzles, unlocking access to new paths and areas which will allow you to explore the land of Aurum. There are unique locales, magical abilities to unlock, and more than 100 unique characters, which is a lot. Minigames are also a key feature, including nonograms, fishing, and blackjack, and truly is one of the most unique games out there, so stay tuned and I'll let you know if there's news of a release date. Going back to a very classically designed JRPG is Elzara Radiant Echoes, which transports you into a stunning world of elemental magic and strategic combat. As you embark on this epic journey, you'll take control of 4 heroes, each with their unique abilities and elemental affinities, having to use these to fight against invading forces. The turn-based combat includes combo attacks between characters, as well as the ability to summon powerful legends, and simply looks like an excellent one of these. The follow-up/parallel story to Undertale is named Deltarune, which, due to Toby Fox's reputation, already has a huge fandom without even being properly released, with chapters 1 and 2 released so far for free, where the news as of November 2024 is that chapters 3 and 4 will 100% come out in 2025. But that is not the end, with plans for 7 chapters in total, but still, people will absolutely lose their minds when 3 and 4 are playable. One of the newer JRPGs that immediately caught my eye is Threads of Time, since this is also a time-traveling tale that allows you to visit the past, present, and future, having fantastic pixel art sprites mixed with 3D environments, and it's just so pretty that it makes me want to cry. Watch this video for the best upcoming pixel art games.